Imagine walking onto a pitch in Miami, right?
Oh, man.
The temperature is hovering near 100 degrees. The humidity is just so thick, it actually feels like you're breathing underwater.
Yeah, that classic South Florida summer heat. It is
Yeah.
just suffocating.
Right. And on one side of the pitch, you have a billion-dollar roster, the
Yeah.
defending world champions.
A literal powerhouse.
Exactly. And then on the other side, a team built entirely from a global diaspora. I mean, their entire squad is valued at less than a single player sitting on the opposing bench.
Which is just wild to even conceptualize.
It really is. And, the predictive algorithms, the betting models, they looked at this matchup and predicted an absolute bloodbath. They basically priced in total inevitability.
But those algorithms were completely wrong.
Completely. Welcome to the deep dive. We have a massive stack of sources provided by you, the listener, today, ranging from pre-match betting guides to these hyper-detailed tactical teardowns of the 2026 World Cup round of 32 clash.
The big one.
Yeah, Argentina versus the tournament debutantes, Cape Verde.
Which serves as this brilliant reminder that football, isn't played on a spreadsheet.
Right.
We're dissecting a match that instantly became World Cup legend. Not just because of the dramatic underdog narrative, but, well, because it exposed the severe limitations of statistical forecasting.
Especially when that forecasting crashes into human resilience,
Yeah.
right, and elite tactical discipline.
Exactly.
So, our mission today is to figure out the mechanics of that crash. We want to explore how Cape Verde dismantled those expert predictions, the specific tactical blueprint they used to neutralize the champions, and really what this 111-minute thriller means for the rest of the tournament.
It's a lot to unpack.
It is. But to appreciate the shockwave this match sent through the sports world, we first have to look at the baseline expectations. According to the Toppled Sports Betting Guide published right before kickoff, Argentina was sitting between minus 625 and minus 700 on the money line.
Yeah, and at those numbers, the odds makers aren't just saying Argentina's going to win.
What are they saying?
They're essentially treating the match as a formality. Like, it's a done deal. Analysts were steering bettors toward the both teams to score no prop at minus 230.
Wow.
Yeah, they were heavily projecting a clinical 3-0 sweep.
And strictly looking at the data, you can kind of see why the models spit out those numbers. I mean, Argentina had just cruised through a flawless group stage.
Right, 3 wins.
3 wins, 0 goals conceded, 8 goals scored. And Cape Verde, meanwhile, had sort of scraped their way through with draws. Against top-tier opposition like Spain in their group, Cape Verde's expected goals, their XG, was a measly 0.50.
Right, so the statistical models rely on historical precedent and aggregated metrics, which all pointed to a total blowout. However, and this is crucial, what those models universally fail to quantify is the physical environment.
The human element.
Exactly, and how that dictates tactical geometry. This match took place at Hard Rock Stadium in Miami Gardens, operating as Miami Stadium for this FIFA tournament.
Yeah, and reading through the Vozinha events venue guide, the South Florida weather in June and July is just physically degrading.
Brutal.
We are talking about a heat index that severely limits human cardiovascular output over 90 minutes. It's like running a marathon inside a sauna.
That's a perfect way to put it.
Yeah.
Which makes the stadium's unique architecture a major tactical variable.
Oh, right, the canopy.
Yeah, Hard Rock Stadium features this massive shade canopy. And because of the sun's trajectory for afternoon fixtures, the south side of the pitch is cast in shadow much earlier in the day.
Huh.
So Cape Verde's manager, Bubista, he recognized that matching Argentina's tempo in direct sunlight was just a physical impossibility.
You just melt.
You'd melt.
Yeah.
So Cape Verde dropped their defensive block deep, intentionally mapping their shape to the shadow line on the pitch.
Wait, really? They used the shadow?
Yes. They weaponized the stadium's architecture to conserve energy.
That is a phenomenal detail. It suggests the odds makers relied entirely on clean, sterilized data sets while completely ignoring the messy physical reality of the environment.
100%.
But beyond the heat, to really understand why the forecasting models failed so spectacularly, we have to look at the personnel.
Okay, let's unpack this because Cape Verde's origin story breaks basically every conventional rule of international team building.
Oh, absolutely. Looking at the data from Wikipedia and Transfermark, they're known as the Blue Sharks, representing a nation of just under 525,000 people.
That's tiny.
It is. They briefly held the record as the smallest country by land area and the second least populated to ever qualify for a World Cup.
Briefly.
Yeah, a title they held for 5 weeks until Curaçao qualified.
Oh, wow. What fascinates me is the roster composition. Transfermarkt lists 100% of their players as foreigners. They don't have the sprawling, well-funded domestic academies of, like, a Brazil or a
Right, the
France.
traditional pipeline. Exactly. Instead, Cape Verde acts more like open source software. They pull these decentralized fragments of talent from their global diaspora players operating in entirely different leagues across Europe and Asia and compile them into this lightweight program designed to crash Argentina's legacy mainframe.
That open source metaphor is highly accurate, actually. Because they lack a centralized domestic league, their total squad market value sits at just 54.5 million euros,
Chump change in modern football.
pretty much.
Yeah.
And they're anchored by players operating at the very tail end of their careers. Goalkeeper Vozinha is 40, Captain Ryan Mendez is 36.
But wait, playing a low block in a World Cup knockout match requires relentless, grueling physical exertion. How do you build a cohesive defensive unit from a scattered diaspora network and then expect 36 and 40-year-old veterans to physically endure against Argentina's elite youth?
You do it by fundamentally altering how you define defense.
What do you mean?
Well, narrative and grit don't stop Lionel Messi, right?
No, definitely not.
If Cape Verde had simply dropped 11 men behind the ball in a traditional low block, what pundits lazily call parking the bus, Argentina's ball circulation would have eventually pulled them apart. Instead, according to the tactical breakdown from Breaking the Lines, Cape Verde utilized relational compactness.
Okay, I want to dig into the mechanics of that because it sounds like high-level coaching jargon. To the
Right.
casual observer in the stadium, it probably just looked like a team defending desperately in their own penalty area.
It does look like that, but what's fascinating here is that relational compactness is entirely different from zonal or man-to-man marking.
Okay, how so?
In a traditional compact defense, teams focus on the geographic space. They keep the physical distance between the defenders tight. If an attacker enters a zone, a defender steps out to engage.
Right, you close them down.
Exactly. But that stepping out is exactly what Argentina wants, because it creates a micro tear in the defensive line.
And the ultimate weapon for creating those tiers is Messi. The breaking the lines analysis refers to him in this match as a moving reference point.
Yes, because Messi rarely occupies a fixed position. He drifts horizontally, searching for the seam between a center back and a fullback. Normally, human instinct dictates that when the greatest player of all time drifts into your zone, you step up to close him down.
Right, you panic and swarm him.
But the moment you do, a passing lane opens behind you for an inverted winger or an advancing midfielder to exploit.
But Cape Verde refused to take the bait. The analysis highlights defensive midfielder Kevin Pina and Deroy Duarte. When Messi drifted into their operational areas, they wouldn't aggressively press him.
Nope, they held their ground.
They merely adjusted their body orientation, using visual cues to maintain their exact distance from their nearest teammate, rather than focusing purely on the ball.
They accepted a profound tactical compromise. They allowed Messi to receive the ball.
Which sounds insane.
It does. But they ensured that whenever he turned with it, he was facing a unified, unbroken wall. They maintained a web of passing lanes for themselves while systematically denying the vertical spaces Argentina relies on.
So, does Argentina's possession-heavy, slow-build style actually make them inherently more vulnerable to a team that stays this remarkably calm? Because if Cape Verde refuses to step out of shape, Argentina's possession becomes entirely perimeter-based, right?
Precisely the issue. Argentina uses possession as a probe. They circulate the ball side to side to force the opponent to a lateral shift. There's waiting for somebody to get tired, lose focus, and step out of line.
The micro-tear.
Exactly. By utilizing relational compactness, Cape Verde removed the need for frantic lateral shifting. They just let Argentina pass in a U-shape around the penalty box, which essentially gave the Cape Verdean veterans crucial moments to breathe in that Miami heat.
That defensive discipline is staggering. But I mean, defending is only half the battle. Surviving against Argentina usually means surviving the counterpress.
Oh yeah, the swarm.
Right. When Argentina loses the ball, players like Enzo Fernandez and Rodrigo de Paul instantly swarm the ball carrier. Human instinct is to panic. How do you drill emotional control into a fragmented diaspora squad so they don't just blindly clear the ball back to the opposition?
You select players based on their cognitive processing speed under pressure, rather than pure athletic metrics.
Interesting.
The tactical breakdown isolates Kevin Pina's actions during defensive transitions. When Pina intercepted a pass, he didn't attempt a full 180-degree turn, and he didn't blindly smash it upfield.
What did he do?
He utilized incredibly subtle, side-on first touches.
Explain the biomechanics of that. Like, why is a side-on touch so devastating to a high-velocity press?
Okay, so when a player like Enzo Fernandez is sprinting at you to counterpress, he's carrying a massive amount of forward momentum. If you receive the ball facing your own goal, you're trapped.
You just get blown up.
Right. But by opening his hips and receiving the ball side on, Pina instantly created a new passing angle. He exploited the presser's momentum. A split-second pause, a touch into the space Fernandez just vacated, wow, and suddenly the press is broken.
And Cape Verde is accelerating into open field.
Exact.
It is a brilliant mechanism. But despite all of that flawless execution, the tension eventually broke. I mean, in the 29th minute, the tactical trap was bypassed.
Because tactical perfection can really only contain generational talent for so long.
Right, Messi scores. And the sheer volume of records he broke with that single strike is staggering. According to Open Magazine, it was his 20th World Cup goal. It happened in his 30th World Cup appearance, establishing a new all-time record.
Insane longevity.
And it marked his 8th consecutive World Cup match with a goal.
Matching his 7-goal output from the Qatar tournament in 2022. The moment that ball hit the back of the net, the predictive algorithms looked validated, didn't they? The bettors, holding the both teams to score no tickets, likely considered their wagers safe. The narrative was stabilizing.
Except Cape Verde didn't get the script. In the 59th minute, executing one of those exact transition sequences we just broke down, Deroy Duarte equalizes.
Unbelievable.
And the match descends into this grueling war of attrition under the South Florida sun, eventually dragging into extra time.
And in extra time, Argentina's coaching staff recognized that breaking relational compactness in open play was failing. So they pivoted to set pieces, which fundamentally alter the defensive geometry.
The 2-1 goal from Lisandro Martínez on the corner kick. But breaking the lines points out a crucial nuance. It wasn't a direct header from the delivery.
No, it wasn't. Alexis McAllister made a darting run to the near post and applied a slight flick to the ball. And that flick is the mechanical destroyer of zonal marking systems.
Why is that?
Because zonal defenders track the initial flight trajectory of the ball from the corner flag. They lock their eyes and adjust their bodies to that specific vector.
Oh, so when McAllister redirects it mid-flight, the visual tracking plane is instantly shattered.
Exactly. By the time the Cape Verde defenders recalibrate, Lisandro Martínez, who intentionally delayed his arrival at the back post, is already hammering it home.
It was a brilliantly engineered set piece, designed specifically to bypass a team that refused to break shape in open play.
A tactical counterpunch.
Right. And at 2-1 in extra time against the defending champions, it should have been over. But here's where it gets really interesting. Cape Verde marches right back down the pitch, and Sidny Lopes Cabral miraculously scores to make it 2-2.
Chaos. Absolute chaos.
But diving into our sources, there is a massive glaring contradiction regarding Cabral.
Yes, there is. The Top End Sports Preview definitively listed Sidney Cabral as injured and out. They claimed both him and Telmo Arcanjo were unavailable, citing a severely depleted attacking rotation for Cape Verde.
Which begs the question, how does an aggregated data model fail that catastrophically on the biggest stage in global sports? If a betting market is pricing a match based on the assumption that a key goal scorer isn't even in the stadium, the entire mathematical foundation is fraudulent.
It really exposes the vulnerability of automated intelligence in sports reporting. Betting lines and predictive models scrape initial injury reports, press conferences, and historical data.
Right, they just pull what's out there.
Exactly. If an early, unverified report hinted at a knock for Cabral, the algorithm bakes that absence into the price, suppressing Cape Verde's implied probability even further. The models don't update when a player unexpectedly passes a late fitness test during warm-ups.
Right.
It proves that aggregated data without verified ground truth is inherently dangerous.
It's a colossal failure of the predictive market. And there is Cabral, very much alive, equalizing against Argentina in extra time. It's the ultimate cinematic climax.
It really is.
Tragically, the cinema rarely maps perfectly to reality.
No, it doesn't. In the 111th minute, the cardiovascular toll of the environment and the relentless weight of Argentina's pressure finally force a structural collapse. A tragic own goal ends Cape Verde's tournament. The match finishes 3-2.
A devastating conclusion for the Blue Sharks. But while Argentina survived the scare, they are advancing to the round of 16 in Atlanta, and the aftermath of this match paints a very concerning picture for the champions.
It really does. Goal.com previews their next matchup against Egypt, who are coming off a massive high after winning their first ever World Cup knockout match on penalties against Australia.
And Egypt possesses the exact tactical personnel to exploit the structural damage Cape Verde just exposed, specifically Mohamed Salah. The Goal.com data notes Salah has already created 16 chances in this tournament.
Yeah, and if we connect this to the bigger picture, we need to examine Argentina's rest defense.
Break that down for us. What is rest defense?
Rest defense is the structural shape a team maintains with its deeper players while the forwards are actively attacking. It's basically your insurance policy against a counterattack.
Got it. And breaking the lines explicitly flagged Argentina's rest defense as deeply compromised. When Argentina had possession against Cape Verde, midfielders Enzo Fernandez and Rodrigo de Paul were pushing aggressively high to try and force a breakthrough.
Which is a huge risk, leaving center backs Cristian Romero and Lisandro Martínez isolated in vast tracts of space. Cape Verde exploited those pockets beautifully, with Kevin Pina's side-on transitions feeding Deroy Duarte.
So, what does this all mean for the clash in Atlanta? Did a team of diaspora veterans just hand Egypt the exact blueprint to dethrone the world champions?
They absolutely mapped the vulnerabilities. I mean, Deroy Duarte was highly effective in transition, but Mohamed Salah is arguably the most lethal transitional attacker of his generation.
Oh, without a doubt.
Salah operates perfectly on the shoulder of the last defender. If De Paul and Fernandez vacate the midfield to join the attack against Egypt, and Romero is pulled wide into the channels to cover, Salah is going to have a 40-yard runway with zero resistance.
That's terrifying for Argentina.
In tournament football, survival hinges on your ability to solve the tactical flaws your previous opponent exposed before your next opponent can weaponize them.
And Argentina has just a few days to fix a structural leak that Cape Verde blew wide open. So wrapping up this incredible stack of sources, what are the actionable takeaways for you listening? First, statistical forecasting and betting odds are heavily flawed when they strip away human context.
True.
Aggregated algorithms can't measure the toll of 100-degree heat, they can't measure diaspora pride, and they clearly can't even get the injury reports right.
Second, tactical discipline is the ultimate equalizer against overwhelming financial and historical advantages. Cape Verde proved that maintaining relational compactness, really preserving the structural web of the team, can completely neutralize individual brilliance.
And finally, composure under pressure is a learned mechanic, not just a character trait. Opening your hips to take a side-on touch while a world champion sprints full speed at you is a masterclass in bypassing panic. And honestly, you can lift that exact philosophy out of the stadium and apply it to your own life.
Definitely.
Whether you're navigating a volatile market or trying to disrupt a legacy monopoly in your own industry, this match is definitive proof that a meticulously executed, composed strategy can terrify the giants.
This raises an important question, though. We just witnessed a fragmented diaspora squad of 500,000 push $1 billion reigning world champion to the 111th minute through collective intelligence rather than individual stardom. As elite tactical knowledge becomes increasingly decentralized and accessible globally, are we entering an era where tactical cohesion completely neutralizes the financial advantages of traditional sports superpowers?
That is a fascinating thought to leave you with. The financial playing field may never be level, but the tactical one is flattening rapidly. The next time someone points to a statistical model that guarantees an outcome, just remember that the math is clean, but reality is messy, it's human, and sometimes it's decided in the suffocating Miami heat. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you on the next deep dive.